begin. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. So much in the news. Doxing, SCOTUS's, which is totally okay if you're on the right side, left side of the aisle, but we'll get into the left or right side of the aisle. What the media is actually reporting on. Majority Taylor Greene is being allowed to actually run again, and so much more. But let's get into it. This is the Derek O'Shea Show. Welcome to the revolution. Da 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 da. Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. If you don't mind supporting my show, you go to buymeacoffee.com/Derek O'Shea Show. Link is in the description below. Even if you're listening to the podcast via audio only. And so much more. If you don't mind sharing this with your friends and family and tell them about the Derek O'Shea Show, I'd greatly appreciate it. The only way I grow is through people like you. People like you who are willing to say, hey, check this person out. And I appreciate those people that do. It's Friday, so we're chilling, we're relaxing. But let's get right into the news. Map of doxing. I mean, this is borderline insanity. But of course, it's totally okay to do, and it's totally rational because it's okay to be completely irrational if you're on a certain side of the aisle. Map of doxing conservative justice violates Google's terms of service platform, says. At least they are standing for something. Google appears to have removed a map showing the street addresses of conservative Supreme Court justices. Leftist organizations have called for abortion supporters to demonstrate at the homes, which you know what that is. That's basically scare tactics, get in people's faces, basically what the cartel does or the mob does. It's totally reasonable and not insane whatsoever. Show up at people's houses because, you know, family members, children are inside, stuff like that. Stuff at the left that has no idea what is a family. Leftist organizations have called for the abortion supporters to demonstrate outside the homes of conservative Supreme Court justices. One of the groups is called, and I looked this group up, Ruth Sent Us, which Ruth Bader Ginsburg wouldn't be supportive of this whatsoever, but of course, it's not actual, they're going off of information or factual facts or anything like that. It's pure emotion. So once you allow emotion to dictate your actions in life, the floodgates are wide open and anything is possible. You dream it, you can do it. One of these groups called Ruth Sent Us is also calling for protesters to stand at local churches, local Catholic churches in particular, on Sunday, Mother's Day. Hi, you speak Spanish? No, I'm sorry. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Muy bien, ¿y tú? Gracias. On this website, ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien, ¿y tú? That's about as much Spanish as I got. I appreciate the question, though. On this website, Ruth Sent Us had posted a map that listed on the street names where each justice supposedly lived with their families, which is insane. Amy Coney Barrett, John Roberts, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, Clarence Thomas, and Neil Gorsuch. But the map no longer appears on the Ruth Sent Us website because they took it down. And they were asked to comment, and they said it violated their procedures, which is nice to see. But again, who's... yo bien, gracias. Gracias, ¿y tú? Yeah, sí. It's nice to see that they're actually standing for this. But again, as Biden has said over and over again, it's the far right. It's those ultra Maga who are the ones that you need to worry about. As our own Jensaki right here, Jensaki was asked literally about what I just reported on, about these homes being doxxed and people showing up, being encouraged to show up at people's homes. Nice Spanish, thank you.
Y muy bien, ¿y tú? Gracias.
Here's Jensaki right here.
So, you guys spent some time yesterday talking about what you think are the extreme wings of the Republican Party. Do you think the progressive activists that are now planning protests outside some of the justices' houses are extreme?
Which the honest question would be, yes, that's extreme. We totally support people protesting outside Supreme Court justice or street corners, whatever have you, but showing up at people's homes where children are and people that have nothing to do with anything that's going on, but even more so, it just showing up at people's homes, period, is an intimidation tactic at its finest. It's what the mob does. It's what the cartel does. It's what authoritarian regimes do. But again, it doesn't matter because they're passionate, and it's the summer of love all over again. Here's her response.
Are extreme.
Hey, bye. Buenas noches.
Peaceful protest? No. Peaceful protest is not extreme.
Some of these justices have young.
No, peaceful protest? Peaceful protest is not extreme. No. Oh, yeah. Just showing up at people's houses, I guess, isn't extreme whatsoever. But again, whatever.
Not extreme.
Some of these justices have young kids. Their neighbors are not all public figures. So would the president think about waving off activists that want to go into residential neighborhoods in Virginia and Maryland?
Peter, look, I think our view here is that peaceful protest, there's a long history in the United States and the country of that. And we certainly encourage people to keep it peaceful and not resort to any level of violence. Let me tell you what I was referring to and what the president was referring to yesterday.
Not about the yesterday, though, just about moving forward. These activists posted a map with the home addresses of the Supreme Court justices. Is that the kind of thing this president wants to help your side make their point?
Look, I think
Yes.
the president's view is that there's a lot of passion,
That's what
a
they
lot
want.
of fear, a lot of
A lot of passion, a lot of fear. Again, they're just showing up at their homes where their children are. It's just passion. You know, they're a young group. They're a young bunch. They're a young bunch of buckaroos. And they're doing their darnest to intimidate and scare and put fear in the hearts of their children and spouses and whatnot, and their neighbors as well. Can you imagine being a neighbor in that circumstance? Of course. It's whatever because you're on the left, so there's no rules. There's only rules for the right. How dare you have an insurrection, okay?
sadness from many, many people across this country about what they saw in that leaked document. We obviously want people's privacy to be respected. We want people to protest peacefully if they want to protest. That is certainly what the president's view would be.
So he doesn't care if they're protesting outside the Supreme Court or outside someone's private residence.
I don't have an official U.S. government position on where people protest. We want it, of course, to be peaceful. And certainly the president would want people's privacy to be respected. But I think we shouldn't lose the point here. The reason people are protesting.
Yeah, Peter, how dare you lose the point? The point is people are protesting because they're scared. They're fearful. They're feared that they can't continue to abort babies. And that's what's most important in this circumstance.
Is because women across the country are worried about their fundamental rights that have been law for 50 years, their rights to make
women like Amy Coney Barrett. What?
Choices about their own bodies and their own health care are at risk. That's why people are protesting. They're unhappy.
That's why people are showing up at people's houses. It's totally okay, Peter. God, you're such an idiot. God. It's unreal. It's literally unreal how this administration, or just any kind of an administration that winks and nods at their base if they are helping push their agenda at all means necessary. It doesn't mean, like, even if it's like aggressive tactics, like putting people's home addresses and Google Maps to show up at people's homes where there are kids around. That's just ridiculous. I hate our culture and the generation of people that think that's totally okay. Nothing weird about that. You could just post people's home addresses online so they are doxxed, and so their significant others will have fear for their lives, and especially their freaking small children and their neighbors, and just make their life a living hell. Because that's what we're about. We're not about, engaging in dialect or having conversations. Even Joe Biden today said, even back in the day, I used to be able to talk to segregationists and get lunch with them. But now you can't even get lunch with people these days. Yeah, because people like you on your side of the aisle. You guys are nuts. But again, I'm the crazy one, right? Speaking of crazy, here's CNN talking about what's going on as far as like fences being erected and stuff like that. And what side of the aisle do they assume is going to be the most aggressive in their tactics? You guessed it. It's not the left.
Officials are preparing for potential violence in the Capitol and nationwide after the leak of that Supreme Court draft opinion that would strike down Roe v. Wade after 50 years.
It wouldn't strike it down. It would just be passed to the states. Then the states would be allowed to do whatever. So if you're in a blue state, particularly, you can still abort babies like crazy. And it's everything with politics and these people, especially corporate media, it's an all or nothing attitude all the time. They're taking away this. They're attacking you at this. You need to fear for your life. You need to fear for your life so much so that you watch their programs. It's obnoxious. It's not logical. It's all fear porn. And people still click it and people still watch it and still listen. Sorry. Keep listening to this clip.
Nationwide, after the leak of that Supreme Court draft opinion that would strike down Roe v. Wade after 50 years. Capitol Police are warning the far right is calling for violence.
Oh, the far right is calling for violence? Didn't we just talk about the far left pushing actual Google documents of homes of each of the SCOTUS Supreme Court justices and their homes where there are children involved? Yeah, it's the far right that is pushing for violence. Yeah, the far left is just peaceful and they're full of emotion, as Jensaki said. They're doing what they can. They're good people. There's good people on both sides. Okay, let's listen to this continue because this is just insane. It's insane. They shouldn't be allowed to continue to talk like this, but they do.
Years. Capitol Police are warning the far right is calling for violence against
Capitol
a religious
Police,
group
too.
planning to rally for abortion rights. Whitney Wild is live outside the Supreme Court. Listen, seeing fences go up there, it's sort of like post-January 6th. What are you seeing and what specific intelligence is worrying police officials?
Well, at this point, law enforcement sources, several of them tell us that they are closely monitoring social media chatter that suggests that there's a potential for violence against abortion clinic providers, abortion clinic staff, members of the judiciary. That would include the justices here, as well as members of the federal government. And what we know after January 6th and what law enforcement knows across the country is that social media chatter can manifest into actual violence. Sometimes people really do say.
Yeah, like Ruth sent us putting out actual home addresses of the Supreme Court. Yeah, that I would say that's a perfect example. But continue. Talk about how the right is going to go at. Why would the right even jump into this? If the right is is against abortion, is for life, pro-life, why would they protest? That makes no sense. But continue.
What they're going to do. Law enforcement acutely aware of that possibility, and federal law enforcement officials held a call with about 150 participants all across the country to warn them about protests that resulted in confrontations, about the possibility of future demonstrations, as well as for the potential for violence. So that's what's going on across the country. Here in Washington, there is physical proof that law enforcement officials and congressional officials, Supreme Court officials here are concerned about the potential that protests could erupt. Just take a look at this fence behind me. I'm about 5'6". This fence is a couple feet higher.
Yeah, 5'6" in heels. Yeah, right.
Than me. You've seen this fence many times. It is the same fence that went up around the Capitol following January 6th. This kind of approach has become somewhat of muscle memory here in Washington following the riot. Also down the
It's like these people have no brain cells. They're just like, fence equals January 6th equals far right. Okay, I get it now.
Street, you see a concrete barrier also going up over the last couple of days. Jim, the bottom line here is that while these protests, for the most part, have been, here in Washington at least, have been peaceful, there have been a couple confrontations, but no physical eruptions, no real serious acts of violence here.
So here's CNN literally saying it's the far right. Okay. And then I have this. Does this look like the far right? Anarchists in Boulder, Colorado attacked a Catholic church on Tuesday night following leak of SCOTUS abortion decision. Building was covered in paint and anarchist graffiti and windows cracked. Oh, it's funny how these anarchists have the balls to go up against the Catholic Church, who is called to turn the other cheek and humble thyself and stuff like that. Why don't you go after a mosque? How about that? No? You're not going to do that? Cool. My body, my choice, painted on there. blood on Mary's face and blood on children's face. Cool. What else is on that? Keep your religion off your bodies. What? Off our bodies? F this church. F the state. My body, my choice. Blah, blah, blah. Breaking windows. Totally okay because, it's that far-right extremist group named Thou Shalt Not Be Named. It's like you get to the point where you're just like, this is insane. And then, okay, I'm going down like clips of just like insane clips for Roe vs. Whoa. I almost sound like a Biden gaffe just now. Roe versus Wade clips. All right. And then here is Jason Crow of Colorado talking about the answer of what will happen in some of these red states, that maybe the military should get involved to help with abortions, because that sounds like a good use of our time. Here's Jason Crow. What a great guy.
The president and the administration is looking at that. One area of particular interest to me, since I sit on both the Intelligence Committee and the Armed Services Committee, is looking at the Department of Defense and our military bases and the extent that they can help provide assistance, reproductive rights and abortion services. I think that's something we should look at. Our men and women in the military that might be in states where those services may very well soon not be available. I think could potentially step into the breach here a little bit and provide assistance. So we have to look at all options.
So the military could be a little safe space with all those state rights. If you don't think we're inching closer to national divorce, I don't really know. I don't really know how to say it. I mean, part of me says that's like a crazy idea, and then part of me is like, the power of the federal government and the power of the states, we saw it over COVID, and it's getting pushed more and more, especially with Roe versus Wade and CRT and teachers' rights versus parents' rights. You're seeing more state power come into play and fight back the federal government. And who does the federal government tend to support? The people on the left. It's not the opposite. But, the corporate media wants you to believe that the State Department is very right-leaning. They're pro-war, so they're right-leaning, as if people on the left aren't pro-war all of a sudden. It makes no sense. Next clip. Blah, 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 blah. And now we have who I said is running in 2024, Miss Hillary Clinton herself, talking about abortion rights as it being a threat to our democracy. A threat to democracy. So again, and you might say, Derek, you're crazy. You're crazy, bro. You're talking about national divorce. You're talking about states' rights versus federal rights. This is crazy. But the people on the left see this as a threat to democracy. Let's listen to these wise words of Hillary Clinton herself, the woman that had an election stolen from her. And that's okay to say because Trump won. So it's different. So whenever like a Republican wins, it's okay to talk about stolen elections. But if a left-leaning person wins, it's totally fair, totally safe, and the best election ever. Let's listen to our knight in shining armor, Hillary Clinton.
Of women here in the United States. That early draft opinion from the Supreme Court.
Early draft opinion, totally not a fact yet, but it's just an opinion, and here we go.
If the final opinion looks anything like this, what does it mean for American women? And what do you believe the options are for those who believe women should have a choice?
Well, I think if this opinion actually is finally published as representing the majority of the court, it is a direct assault on the dignity, rights, and even lives of American women.
A direct assault.
And it is heartbreaking to see this court dominated by extremists who do not represent.
Extremist. Pay attention to these words. Attacked, like extremism, like extremists. Really? Extremists? Okay, we're just using these words. They're like abuse. It's like the word racism. It's like that word was abused so much so that when you hear racist, like, hey, that man is so racist, listen to what he's saying. You're like, my first thought is always, is it really racist? Or is this person just really funny?
Present the majority of Americans, men and women, who believe that this is a right that women should have, doing all they can to set the clock back. This is the first time, perhaps, that I'm aware of that a right will be actually taken away. So what can be done? There has to be
The first time that a right will be taken away? Yeah, like COVID.
recognition that as horrible assault as this is on women's rights, it is perhaps only the beginning of this court trying to undo so much of the progress of the last 50 years. You know, as a recovering lawyer, I'm aware that the problem that this court is focused on is by saying that there is no real right to privacy, that Roe was decided wrongly. Well, Roe followed a case called Griswold, which struck down a law prohibiting married heterosexual couples from having access to contraception. It served as the basis of decriminalizing consenting sexual behavior between gay people who were adults and able to express their own feelings.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
It certainly underpins gay marriage. So this is a real threat, Judy, to our democracy, not just to the rights of women.
And this is how they're conflating it all together. Roe vs. Wade, gay marriage, interracial marriage. I mean, I've heard so many insane comparisons. Like, if they're doing this, then what about that? The hypotheticals that I've constantly been hearing over and over again this whole week have been borderline insane. But, you know, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to, like, you know, jump down conspiracy theories and do the Blue Annan thing and jump down whatever loops you want to. If you're on the left, you can say whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. And if you're on the right and you dabble in conspiracy theories, you should be taken off all social media. But if you're on the left and you dabble in conspiracy theories, you should be given Netflix deals.
And yet the options, given the political realities of Congress, are very few, aren't they? And what do you see? Do you see this energizing Democrats more or Republicans going into these crucial midterms?
Well, I hope it energizes all Americans who...
Oh, it's going to energize Democrats more. All right, I'm done listening to this clip. I can't listen to freaking Hillary Clinton for too long or else I'll go crazy. Next clip. I know I usually save The View for the last because it's the icing on the cake for me, but Elizabeth Warren came on The View today, you know, because she had her, like, insane moment where she lost her britches. She went a little crazy. But here's Elizabeth Warren on The View. Remember her screaming on the top of her lungs from Wednesday's podcast. But here's Elizabeth Warren, because at this point right now, it seems like every Democrat, particularly women on the side of the aisle, is trying to see who can lose their mind the most and scream the loudest. Because then all of a sudden, if you scream the loudest, that means you care the most. I don't really know, but here we go.
Book Persist, recently released in paperback. Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Senator Elizabeth Warren.
It's so great to see you. You know, I know, Senator, I don't think I've ever seen you quite that annoyed and angry. I've seen you...
Yeah, because it's borderline insane.
I've seen you passionate, but not as much as this. So let me just ask you this. What do you say to the American women who are just as angry as you are about the fact that they are about to lose the autonomy over their own bodies?
So I start with getting centered about what this is about. Understand, well-to-do women, they're going to do fine. Yeah. They get on an airplane, they can fly to another state where...
Oh, yes. She already said this whole talking point in her speech on the ground about how this is disproportionately affects poor women. But continue. You know, all these politicians are saying they can't actually have an honest conversation or just engage in normal speak. They have to do their little talking point spiel.
It's legal. They can fly out of the country. where it's legal. Who is this going to fall on? This is going to fall on the most vulnerable women in our country. This is going to fall on poor women. It's going to fall on women of color. It's going to fall on
what?
young girls who have been molested by somebody in their family. This is going to fall on the victims of rape. This is going to fall on mamas who are already working 2 jobs to try to support the children they have. That's who this is going to fall on, and that is what makes me furious and gets me into this fight.
Good. I'm glad
it's
you're
just
angry.
wrong.
That's going to work.
In your book, Persist, which I loved, as you know,
Thank you.
I think you predicted the vulnerability of Roe v. Wade, right? And you advocate in your book for codifying abortion rights into law. The Women's Health Protection Act does that. And it's going to be voted on next week. But Democrats don't have the votes. They don't have the 60 votes. What is the plan?
Well, the plan starts by getting everybody on the record. You know, you got to be willing to stand up in public and say which side of this you come out on. And it's both halves. It's making sure that everyone knows where people stand who are in office, and everyone knows where people stand who are running for office. Because if we don't have enough people to get this done right now, then this is the day to get in the fight so that come November, we have enough people in office who will protect the right of a woman to choose.
Well, can we just follow up very quickly? Senator Susan Collins said she's a no on the Women's Health Act, but Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski did put forth their own bill. Why not go with that?
Look, because it's one that's riddled with loopholes. The problem we've had all along is that when Roe was handed down nearly 50.
That's like the most politician answer ever. It's like, I won't go for that bill because, well, I didn't put it forward, and also it has loopholes.
50 years ago, most people said, okay, we're done. We got this, right? We're fine. But in fact, what's happened is the Republicans have maneuvered more and more extremists.
Oh my God, there's that line again. They're calling these SCOTUS appointees extremists. Extremists. Yes, ISIS is also very extreme. They're extremists. And also these SCOTUS appointees, same thing. KKK is extremists. And also these SCOTUS appointees, same thing. Cartel is full of extremists. And also these SCOTUS appointees. God.
Into office, and they've been able to just chip at it. And a little gouge here, a little nick there, so that literally under the current rules, you have states like Indiana. How many places can you get an abortion in Indiana right now? 1. And that is under this so-called protection of Roe. So what this is really about is about making sure there's full protection. And understand this, Sonny, I know you know this. It's that the Supreme Court has not just said, we're not going to have Roe. They have now opened the door.
Here we go.
To an investigation and intrusion beyond anything most of us imagine. So now,
wow, that's the most fear porn statement I've ever heard in my life. God.
Now they've opened up the possibility.
Here we go.
Of your contraception. Might be a contraception like an IUD that works after an egg is fertilized. That your miscarriage could what? Be investigated by the local police.
Shut up. Shut up. God, that's so dumb. Oh my God. A miscarriage? One of the worst things that ever happened to people? God, shut.
Police?
Oh my God.
That you could be monitored. That you lifted a package that was too heavy and threatened a pregnancy.
What about those morning after?
Oh my God. These people are oh my. How are they allowed to say this stuff? It like hurts my brain sometimes.
The pills, just quickly.
That's the other problem. Yeah. The morning after pills can be gone. And so this is about protecting all of us.
This will have ramifications for IVF as well.
Yes, and I was just going to say,
and in a time where we talk so much about fertility, women everywhere, especially women that are well-to-do and can afford this, we're going to be talking about those perfectly genetically tested eggs that are for ice babies, and that's going to become a problem.
That's exactly right. And this is, I want to underscore this word because I think people haven't talked about it enough. And that is, it opens the door to criminalizing the most personal decisions the most personal.
Yeah, I just saw a few states just put it out. So, and this is always the argument. What's life? You know, one side sees nothing, the other side sees everything, and so you have that crossroads there.
Medical choices that a woman makes, and I am deeply shocked that a tiny minority in this country can both capture the Supreme Court and drive it in a direction that the overwhelming majority of Americans, and I'm talking Democrats, Republicans, Independents, do not want to see it go. We need to fight back.
Please welcome.
I can't not believe she brought in contraception. I like. Okay. God. All right. Speaking of insane, as we continue down the loophole, we have Joy Reid coming out in. You know, you can't. Joy Reid will totally try her best to outdo The View in being outlandish and over the top, but here she goes.
A lot of Republicans hectoring Ketanji Brown Jackson, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, about originalism. If you go back to the original conception of this country, first of all, Melissa and I weren't even people, so forget about us, right? But
you weren't people? What the heck? I wasn't alive, ergo I wasn't people.
Even women who were white women were considered absolutely the property and ward of their husband to be transferred to.
No, God, that is like such an over-the-top statement. Everybody back in the day saw all women as property. Really? All of the guys? All of them? Really? Really? Okay, sure.
Their husband. Even any property, women didn't even inherit property. Whatever they had.
Right, there wasn't a single woman that inherited property. Okay, Joy. 1619 Project. Here we go.
Right to the husband. And an unmarried woman was most likely to be burned as a witch. Most people who were burned as witches.
What? This is amazing.
Were often unmarried or widows, people who were untethered to a man, which is the only thing that grounded even white women in humanity. So if you are an originalist, you essentially want to go back to that original conception of women who,
oh my
even
God.
50 years after black men were technically given the right to vote, were still denied it, their own wives and daughters. Your thoughts?
I think you're exactly right about what's so chilling about this decision, or one of the things that's so chilling is that if you take this schema seriously, the only rights that are seen as constitutionally legitimate are those that have a deep history in the American Republic. And nobody, except for white men, has rights that have a deep history from the founding of the American Republic. These were all sort of modern achievements, right? These were all, women got the right to vote in the beginning of the 20th century. Many of the other rights that were won were in the middle or the end of the 20th century. And so the idea that because they were not there 200 years ago, 100 years ago, I believe that one of the citations in Alito's opinion goes back to the 13th century. The idea that sort of something is more legitimate because it has been around for hundreds of years just ensures that only the most right-wing conception of human rights will have the force of constitutional law.
Right, and by the way, not even all white men, only white men who own property. If you were not a property owner, you also could not vote in the originalist conception.
Oh my God. These people are crazy. It's hard to even comment. You're just like, okay, God, people watch you, unlike that aren't me, that don't watch it like unironically, not for a laugh, Like I literally watch these shows to laugh and just see their points of view and their arguments and stuff like that, because it's important to know. Because if you don't know, then you don't know what they're thinking before they think, and their train of thought and where they get it from, their foundation a lot of times. So. God, that was a lot. And I'm going to go home and think about it for the rest of my life. But Elon Musk comes out and says Tesla appears to cover the travel expenses for employees in abortion tourism. So there's already talks of people that if they want abortion and they're from a different state, I saw Amazon came out and said something they would help pay up to $4,000 or something like that. Don't quote me at that, but they're helping him out just like Tesla is. So again, as I've said at the beginning, people that are for women's rights or whatever, abortion is still going to be a thing. It's going to be up to the state's rights. So just make sure you live in a state of people that think like you, and then you could be in your little echo chamber the rest of your life and be in a safe space. Because that's what we're all about today. A crazy explosion happened in Havana. Let's check this out.
Rocks a 5-star hotel in Havana, blowing out its outer walls and sending debris flying into the crowded streets. The Hotel Saratoga was being renovated and preparing for its big grand opening when the blast happened.
And tonight it appears a gas leak is to blame for the tragedy. Let's get right to Local 10's Hatzavella live in the newsroom now with the very latest for us. Hatzel.
So, Kevin, it turns out at this hour, the death count.
Whoa, look at this guy's little nifty little office. What is this? It's like a preaching pulpit. He's got to say something. He's got to say the word of God.
Remains the same at 9. And now some brand new information to share with you. According to the Cuban government, they're telling us it was a truck parked outside the building, servicing the building with natural gas, that is to blame. New video shows a gas truck being pulled from the rubble. Up close, in new pictures, we see the damage in the hotel rooms. On Cuban TV, updates on the injured. This video captures the tragedy as it was happening. Cars seen getting out of the way. This man reports it as an explosion at the hotel. The images from Havana are breathtaking. Not much left of the Saratoga, what was once a high-end hotel in the center of the Cuban capital city. You can hear the angst in the voices of Cubans as they approach the building, which sits almost across the way from the historic Capitol building. We're now starting to see how the explosion damaged surrounding buildings, a church in this case. State-run media, we see Cubans who happen to be nearby looking through the rubble. You can hear the sirens approach as more people get closer and try to help. El pueblo ayudando, el pueblo ayudando. This man records and says Cubans are helping rescue fellow Cubans. Se quedaron 20 personas atrapadas. As he looks at the extensive damage, he tells those around him people are still trapped inside. This is what the building used to look like, the neoclassical structure built back in the late 1800s. So at last check, 40 hospitalized, injured because of this collapse. We also understand the hotel had been undergoing renovations, and because of that, no tourists were inside. Calvin?
Okay, thanks a lot there, Hatzel.
Dang, that's crazy. All right, next. We got so much to go through today. I don't know if you saw this breaking yesterday, but U.S. intelligence came out and said, I saw this on all over so many different platforms, and I pulled this up from NBC Universal. U.S. intelligence apparently helped Ukraine sink Russian vessel, Moscow officials say. Moscow. But today, Jensaki said that it wasn't accurate. I don't know what that means. It's very vague terminology of saying that's not true, but it also isn't false. U.S. officials told NBC News that the sinking of a Russian vessel, Moskva, was done in the help of U.S. intelligence. The intelligence shared was meant to help Ukraine defend itself, not aid in the decision of the strike. We're not aiding in the decision of the strike. We're just helping defend Ukraine, okay? And then we have this come out today of the Pentagon giving intel about the situation as well. But again, isn't that like the most insane thing? We're not actually in war with Russia. We're just giving Ukraine money. We're giving them weapons to fight with. And there's been reports of maybe some training involved. Whatever. We're sending our officials over there. And now we're helping identify ships and stuff like that. Help sinking one of Russia's favorite ships. Their eye of the sea, as they say. It's not a big deal. We're not actually engaged in the war. And also, the high gas prices is due to Putin. But Pentagon defends itself giving intel to Ukraine. Here we go. Here's the freaking Here's the Pentagon talking about the intel.
We provide them what we believe to be relevant and timely information about Russian units that will allow them to adjust and execute their self-defense to the best of their ability. The kind of intelligence that we provide them, it's legitimate, it's lawful, and it's limited. And I would rather not get into what the degree to which there's limitations on there. But we try to be as timely and as relevant as we can. And I would also add, and
what a weird time to be alive. We're not in war, but we're in war, but we're also telling people like you and me and also the Russians that we're involved with them. It's just the kind of like, as our new Ministry of Truth, our disinformation czar is looking over the land upon us. There seems to be a lot of misinformation and disinformation from, I don't know, people like him, but continue.
This is not an unimportant point. We are not the only sole source of intelligence and information to the Ukrainians.
Yeah, we're not the only ones helping. There are a lot of other I was about to say NATO. There are a lot of other people helping. So don't just point the fingers at us. Point it at...
They get intelligence from other nations as well. And they have a pretty robust intelligence collection capability of their own. I mean, they've been fighting this war against Russia for 8 years. It's not like they are completely blind to the way Russia organizes itself and the way Russia conducts itself on the battlefield. So, as you would expect any nation to do, they form a mosaic here. They collate the information that they're getting, and then they make their own decisions about what they're going to do with that. And if they do decide to do something with that intelligence, then they make the decisions about acting on it. We provide that.
Okay. Are you listening? Are you understanding now that our own government is like, just get over it? We're helping them out. It's not a big deal. Okay. And then we go into our own Nancy freaking Pelosi talking about the same thing. And we continue down. We're sending our brightest and best to Ukraine to talk. Of course, we're not sending our own president like other countries done, but we're sending Nancy Pelosi. Thank God. She represents us well in her blue suit, her blue pantsuit.
Well, starting with that, as a person involved in intelligence for more than 25 years in the Congress, the first person in the leadership to have a security credential, I'm very concerned about newspapers reporting, if I don't confirm or deny what that report is, but I don't think it's helpful to have that.
Yeah, it's not helpful. Stop doing journalism. How dare you guys make us look bad? How dare you guys do a WikiLeaks kind of vibe thing against us, okay? We're the United States government. We're the good guys.
Kind of reporting. I say that with all the respect in the world, and I've protected the rights of the press to be protected when they put information out there, that the burden of proof has to be on the government to prove them harmful in any event. But I don't think it's helpful to say whether it's true or not. I can't confirm. But what I do...
God, I'm like, are you listening to yourself speak? I can't understand a single word you're saying, but let's continue.
No, it's not helpful. In terms of what we did, we went there very proud of President Biden and what he has done to unify.
Here we go. We're done talking about all the negative. We're on to the victory lap formation.
Unify us in Congress. We will have bipartisanship when we pass this legislation. Very unifying within NATO, bringing countries together in timing and the rest of it. We all shared the same values, had to come to it in timing. And we went there very prayerfully. Before we went in, we had our moments of silence and prayer in our own faith traditions about what it meant. And we were very, of course, impressed by President Zelensky. He is quite remarkable. We know that he...
Did you hear that fake emotion? We went there very prayerfully. We went and bowed on our knees. So there's that.
He is, from what we have seen in the press and in his presentation to Congress, but what we did see more of in our meetings with him, we had one meeting and then another dinner meeting. In addition to that, was his complete knowledge of the intricacies and the differentiation among.
Whoa, intricacies, man.
Weapon systems, the values that we bring.
Oh gosh. Hey, quit freaking out about what we're doing and how we're helping Ukraine, how we're sending another new package of millions and millions of dollars, even though our streets and our own cities and our own country is going to hell in a handbasket with inflation high, and we continue to print and we're not reining it in, you know, as these people continue to overspend and stuff like that. And then we have new bills that are pushing for student loan debt forgiveness and stuff like that. Don't worry about what's going on in Ukraine. We're doing a good job, and we're not pushing us towards war, inching closer and closer. No big deal, whatever. And if you're against it, you're pro-Putin, period. God. And then let's catch up and see how our little 7-foot-tall escapee with apparently racist tattoos in Alabama. This is a story we covered earlier on, but let's see how our blonde mistress is doing in her new escapee and her new prison buddy.
Startling new images today of Capitol murder suspect Casey White and the blonde deputy police say helped him escape. The U.S. Marshals Service released these images showing how 56-year-old Vicky White might look today if she has dyed her hair brown or black and cut short. And 6'9" Casey White has a series of disturbing tattoos which make him easy to identify. On his back, a prison tat of a Confederate flag with a chained dog and the words Southern Pride. On his right arm, the lightning bolt symbols of the Nazi SS. Meanwhile, an investigation into the 2008 death of Casey White's ex-girlfriend has been reopened. Christy Shelton was shot in the chest with a sawed-off shotgun. The death was ruled a suicide, but her daughter posted this video saying she never believed that.
Casey White was with my mom the night that she committed suicide. Nothing was really ever investigated.
And this surveillance video shows Vicky White's patrol car minutes after the escape, heading for a shopping center where they ditched it for a 2007 copper-colored Ford Edge she bought for cash. They kept that car for only a few hours, abandoning it 35 miles outside Nashville. Just released photos show they tried to spray paint the car green, but gave up.
Oh, terrible spray painting job.
It was abandoned so quickly that they probably had mechanical problems with it.
Scary. But it's fun to see that people can still escape. New reporting came out today, this week, that Jensaki is leaving. And who is our new press secretary?
It really is exciting because she is someone from humble beginnings who really worked their way up to the top.
Executive Director of the Citizens Campaign for the Environment, Adrienne Esposito, once hired a young Karine Jean-Pierre.
She was always someone who was very articulate, very can-do attitude, upbeat, and positive.
More than 2 decades later, she's just been promoted by President Joe Biden.
It's a very emotional day.
To replace the outgoing Jensaki.
This is a historic moment, and it's not lost on me.
Next week, she will become the first black and first openly gay White House press secretary.
Oh, thank God. Finally, we have somebody qualified. Is that what we care about? All right, next. Majority. Okay, so people on the left are freaking out about this. They tried to make it to the point where Majority Taylor Greene wouldn't be allowed on a freaking ballot, and she has just been announced that she can be elected again.
Tonight, a court ruling. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene will remain on the ballot in Georgia's 14th district race. Challengers tried to boot her for her alleged support of the U.S. Capitol insurrection. Doug Richards is walking us through the court's decision today.
Well, Jeff, this was a long shot to begin with. Critics of Congresswoman Green using constitutional language written shortly after the Civil War to try to disqualify her as disloyal to the United States. They did get her into a courtroom 2 weeks ago where Green appeared on a witness stand and answered questions about her support for then President Trump and her alleged complicity with Trump supporters who attacked the Capitol on the day Congress was due to certify the election of Joe Biden. A judge wrote that Green did not participate in the attack, issued no directives to the attackers, and didn't release any statements of encouragement to the attackers. The court did leave open the option for Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to remove Green from the ballot himself. Late today, Raffensperger issued a statement saying he would do no such thing. Back to you.
Right, because that would be insane.
Tonight.
But are you in Georgia? Will you be voting for her? Please let me know. I think it's crazy that they even tried this. It was a long shot, but this is where, this is the left. They'll do whatever it takes in order to remain in power. That's all that matters. Power is everything. Power is might. Power is key. All right. And then we have this. Truth Social CEO responds to the Musk-Trump Twitter talks. I'm curious about this interview. See how this goes, because I think Truth Social is borderline a waste of time now that Elon Musk is in charge, but we'll see. I mean, I've seen people that I follow on Twitter being censored on Truth Social, so acting like it's a total free platform is a little... Man, my tripod for my camera was just doing a nosedive.
So who better to bring in than Devin Nunes, CEO of Trump Media and Technology Group and former House Intelligence Committee chair. Good to have you with us today. So you saw that soundbite, and in it, you were talking to Stuart Varney, and you said that's why we encouraged Elon Musk to buy it, because someone has to continue to take on these tech tyrants. So what was that relationship, and was there any discussion directly between President Trump and Elon Musk about this purchase?
Well, thanks for having me on. There's nothing like a Friday being Fake News Friday. I remember during all the Russia hoax controversy and those dark times, we always were waiting for the Friday afternoon fake news bombshell that then we'd spend 3 days responding to. And this looks like it's nothing different, Martha. We have publicly said, both President Trump and myself, our goal with this company is quite clear. And as a matter of fact, I think I said this on your show last week. We want to open the internet back up to give the American people and people around the world their voice back very clearly. So it's not just that interview that I did with Stuart Varney. It's probably 36 interviews that I have done publicly, many on Fox Business. And in fact, President Trump was very, very clear before Elon Musk actually bought the company that he likes Elon, he's all for it, he hopes he buys it. That was in a Fox News story. So, look, we actually hope, and since it's Fake News Friday, and I hope they don't take these words out of context, but we would like it if he would buy Facebook and Instagram, and most importantly, probably Chinese's owned TikTok. So there's a lot more things he could buy, and we'd be a hell of a lot better off with Elon.
I'm done listening to that.
Since Elon Musk
is it like you have to, if you work with Trump, you have to talk with your hands? I like the way this guy talks with his hands. I trust him. All right, next clip. I thought this was hilarious. This made me LOL, as they say. Tom Hanks' son goes on a podcast and gets asked this, and it's just fantastic.
Are there any marginalized communities you want to apologize to? I don't know, maybe the patois community?
Nah. I don't feel like I've truly done anything offensive, so.
You don't see it as cultural appropriation. You see it as like...
Yeah, you're not allowed to engage in other people's cultures if you look a certain way, especially if you're white. Disgusting.
A celebration of culture.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like social justice warriors can go kick rocks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No comment. Got it.
No, I mean, I 100% agree. Social justice warriors can kick rocks.
She's like, look at that face. How dare you say that? How dare you? You're going to get in trouble for this one. The cojones on this guy. I saw this tweet today, and it just made me LOL so hard that I felt like sharing it. This is from Jennifer Cohen. She goes, if the GOP wants to talk about election hacking, let's talk about 2016, my latest piece. And my thought is always with the whole election stuff, if you think that 2016 wasn't the most safest and secure election ever, like this last election, according to you probably, then why aren't you for harsher election laws, like, I don't know, showing ID and stuff like that, something like basic? No, you want to make it easier to the point where I've seen people talking about, like, you know, you should be able to just like vote on Facebook, as if that can't be hacked or whatever. It can't be the safest and most fair election, and then 2016 the most insane election hacking thing ever. I know it's whoever loses, the other side claims hacking. I hear that all the time, and I get it, and it might be 100% true. So here's the thing. If it's true, then we should all be for making election integrity better, to the point where at the end of election, we're not all freaking out feeling like our guy was hacked to the point where that's the reason why they didn't get voted in. That we all just go, you know what? I'm glad, or I'm bummed that my person didn't win, but at least it's a fair and free election. But no, we're just going to continue down the rabbit hole. We're going to continue down, the hamster wheel of, if my guy loses, I claim you fill in the blank. It gets so boring. It's like, oh, okay, you have a problem with election integrity in 2016. Why don't we do something to make sure that never happens again? No thanks. Speaking of no thanks, Dr. Oz tonight. This is a breaking clip. Spoke with Donald Trump. Here's Dr. Oz in a moment where I said, "Excuse me."
President Trump endorsed me because he said I was smart, tough, and I will never let you down. Yeah, I'm smart, but am I tough? That's the question.
Yeah, I'm smart, but am I tough? God, I don't know. My wife beat the...
He knew it because he checked it out. He did his homework. He wrote that announcement himself, because I am smart, because I'm tough as nails.
Because I am smart. I'm tough. Am I smart? I don't know, but I am tough as nails. God.
And I will never let you down. God bless you, Pennsylvania.
And I will never let you down.
President Trump endorsed me because he said I was smart, tough, and I will never let you down. Yeah, I'm smart, but am I tough? That's the question. He knew it because he checked it out. He did his homework. He wrote that announcement himself, because I am smart, because I'm tough as nails, and I will never let you down. God bless you.
I love people that answer their own questions. It's like one of my favorite things in the whole world. Also, hold on a second. I gotta fix. Okay. Also, my green screen is being all weird. Let's fix the green screen live on air. How about that? Oh yeah, green screen initiated. Let's see. Okay, a little better. Will you be voting for Dr. Oz if you're in Pennsylvania? God, I hope not. It's just like another celebrity. Is this what we're doing now? The celebrity of the hour is all of a sudden conservative, and like, I don't care. Trump could endorse somebody I absolutely hate. It doesn't make me want to vote for that person. I assume some of these voters aren't so stupid to just go, oh, well, Trump endorsed him, I believe it. That they actually have, a brain, and they look into what this candidate's all about. I assume that we're at that point now. But you never know. All right, next clip. This clip. Listen how insane this is. I can't believe this is allowed on air. First of all, this is The View.
Done things that are racist. I'm a black woman first, so always understand that. But I do say that I have many conservative values that I will talk to you about. And so if you look at your network that you're standing behind, yes, and when you look at your network that you're standing behind, you're saying that you look at Chris Cuomo.
I feel like that's an oxymoron, a black Republican.
You feel like it's an oxymoron? I do. Why? Your friend right here is a Republican.
We had this conversation.
You do, and you say you feel like it's an oxymoron that you're Catholic, but you also are pro-life.
I don't understand either.
No, you don't understand yourself. Then you have disagreements.
I understand myself. I don't understand either.
But it's not a personal conversation.
Yeah.
We're having a personal conversation about CNN
I don't
and how
understand black
things can get
Republicans,
leaked.
and I don't understand Latino Republicans. Well, here's what
I don't understand them. How could these people have their own brain and come up with their own conclusions and maybe have some similar values of white supremacist, white Republican men? How could they have the same values as them? It makes no sense. Civility is here. The Democrats are the adults are in charge. God. Just insane. Also an insane. Watch this video of Amber Heard. Was she sniffing her own boogers or was she sniffing something else? And she looks down to her handkerchief and goes for a little sniff. Oop, little bump. Sniff. And clears it. Was that boogers or was that some other white substance that we must not name whatsoever? Because why would somebody do a freaking bump in a courtroom? God, that's crazy. Okay, and here we go. We're on the portion where we look at what Biden's doing.
Thank God you're on our team.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Where am I heading?
I don't know, and I don't know if you know. God. And then we have another point where Joe Biden right here starts talking, and it starts making no sense to the point where he feels like he needs to touch a woman.
It's amazing what you do. Realize how many lives you saved.
Oh, that arm touch. That shoulder touch. It makes me so uncomfortable seeing it. You gotta see it again. It's like watching a car crash.
It's amazing what you do. Realize how many lives you saved.
Yes,
sir. No. You really.
God. My grandpa used to do that crap to me. Like grab my shoulder right here, and I would just be like, oh, I hate that crap.
You really do. I've been in and out of.
Who knows what's going on. And Biden's slowly coming to terms with maybe this inflation isn't completely due to Putin himself, but here's Biden right here.
We learned the hard way that we can't fight inflation if supply chains buckle and send prices through the roof every time there's a disruption.
And then that's it. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for today's podcast. It means so much to me. I've enjoyed this Friday evening. So much that I appreciate every single one of you that joined me. I had a bunch of people early on getting involved, and it means so much to me as we talked about Roe versus Wade. We talked about so many other things. But I want you to take some time this weekend and enjoy your friends and family and enjoy your colleagues or whatever the frick ever. I might actually go live this weekend. Who knows? Because it's that kind of weekend for me. And I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I've always enjoyed you. If I don't go live this weekend again, just know I'm going to go live again this Monday because that's how we roll, people. I hope you guys have a freaking fantastic day. And as always, thank you for joining me. I'm going to end with this commercial break, as always. And I love you guys. You guys are amazing people. And I'm sorry that I was actually going to go live today for Joe Biden's press conference, but he up and decided that, you know what, I'm going to change the time. Because that's what our people are about these days. It's hard to keep up with the time, but I hope you guys have a fantastic night. And as always, I'll catch you on the next episode of the Derek O'Shea Show. Enjoy this weekend, get some sun, and enjoy your life. I appreciate every single one of you. I freaking love you. And with this commercial break, I love you. Goodbye.
My fellow Americans, it's me, Joe Byron. Make sure to support Derek O'Shea by going to buymeacoffee.com/Derek O'Shea. Easily one of my least favorite YouTubers of all time. And all you have to do is go down here, buy him a coffee, support his show, or even join as a member. $3 a month, that's all it costs. And you could be a big time supporter of his show. He's a good guy, but he's a piece of crap, and I hate him for that. I hope you have a great day, and as always, let's go get ice cream, and I need to get my sniff on.